Hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel for part 2 of this little series on ways that we really fall short of being relentless and just get in our own way. The thing that I want to start with is just telling you guys, I have been so productive recently, and to be quite honest, just really hitting all my mini goals. And I have more long-term goals, of course, that, I try and hit these long-term goals. Some are 2 years out, some are a year out, some are 6 months out. But then all of those goals are broken down into what can I be doing pretty much on a daily basis to really move the needle. And something that I've noticed is that people don't do that. And oftentimes they have desires, but they don't actually make them goals. And I guess I'm just doing a whole podcast episode before the actual podcast, but they don't actually make them goals. And so they're very passive and don't make a ton of progress towards creating what they want. And a lot of that comes down to a lack of belief, a lack of decisiveness, a lack of action that you've normalized. Part of why I initially started talking about this is because I've just been really crushing it, honestly, and I'm really proud of that. So I've been eating really well. I've been hitting my 12,000 steps. I've been going to the gym. I've been doing new things at the gym. So not only just consistency, but also intensity. I have been working and really productive for hours a day. I've been signing new clients. I've been really going deeper with my clients. Like, I'm just really hitting my marks right now. And the thing that I want to share is that I'm not burnt out at all. I'm not more stressed. I'm actually way more peaceful. And I really think that when you're more successful, you should also be more at peace, not more burnt out, not more stressed, not more to do. That is something that I'm literally teaching in my new course of, like, how do you do that? How do you have both a high success and like a state of well-being? And so if you're someone who you've wanted to work on breaking the cycle of going all in for weeks only to just fall off so that when you break that cycle, you're actually always on fire without burning out, or you've wanted to be the gym girl with the jaw-dropping transformation where your results just speak louder than words, because trust me, I've been a gym girl for years who talks about being a gym girl but doesn't actually show that you're a gym girl. If you want to heal your relationship with burnout so you are always ambitious and constantly well-rested, like I just talked about, or master the crap out of self-trust so you no longer break your word to yourself on the regular, or you really want to awaken your ambition minus those, self-doubt spirals and overthinking, because everyone who is in my community tends to be a very ambitious person, but it comes with a lot of self-doubt and it comes with a lot of overthinking, and it also comes with a lot of inaction. You have to action on your ambition. Or you've wanted to work on building habits that stack success around your business, your body, your relationships, and really honestly just like kissing shame around your inconsistency goodbye. And then finally, you're really wanting to learn how to access your power and move with the confidence of someone who knows exactly who they are and where they're headed. If all of that sounds up your alley, you're going to want to watch out for the offer that I have dropping next week and is going to be permanently around. You can join it whenever. So if you're listening to this a couple weeks from now, 6 months from now, 3 years from now, it's going to be there. So you can just go to the next episode and probably find details, or we'll update the show notes ideally, or just go to the next couple episodes and you'll find the link. But that is something that's coming and I'm so excited for it. Okay, let's just actually get into the episode though, shall we? So last episode, we talked about 3 behaviors that will absolutely sabotage your success. And today we are talking about the remaining 3. The annoying part of being human, I suppose, is that we so often get in our own way. We so often make everything a lot harder than it has to be. And there's such subtle ways that we do it. And so I really want to talk about what some of those are and what they look like and how to find it. And even just today, actually, I was talking in my mastermind. I don't always talk about my mastermind a lot. So if you do want to work on with me with, going all in and just hitting that next level and doing it with just this audaciousness and this fearlessness, and you don't want to keep backing down, come talk to me about my mastermind. But I was talking in there today how I set a goal for one of my clients in there that really pushes her limits. It's an income goal. It's an income goal that she absolutely did not think she could hit. She thinks it's going to take years and take sacrifice and take burnout and take doing all these things. And I told her, I was like, you're going to hit it in the next 6 months and you're going to do it in a way that actually feels good and you really like, and you're going to see how much easier this is than you think. She just signed her highest client, I think it was this morning. And she was like, "Is it always this easy? Like, is this what you're talking about? It's month 1 and I'm already like halfway to the goal. Is it actually always this easy?" And I have another client that's coming in, all these things. And I told her, and I was really honest, and I was like, "Yeah, sometimes it is this easy, but it's not always going to be this easy." But oftentimes, why it's so hard is because we are leading ourselves with such dysregulated emotions, which make it significantly harder on ourselves than it needs to be. And that's really what this episode and last episode is all about. And if you missed it, go catch the first 3 ways that we kind of get in our own way and self-sabotage. But let's just get into it because I just want you to actually use your ambition. I want you to feel really successful. I don't want you to see your goals and feel defeat and shame and frustration because you're not sure how to actually close the gap and get there when it's always, always going to be an internal game. Okay, so let's get right into it. The 4th reason that we are covering, again, the first 3 are on the first episode, is that you subconsciously are more concerned with being liked than you want results. And this is something that I see happen all the time. We say we really want results. We really, 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 really want results. But then what is actually happening is that we're more concerned with the external validation. We're more concerned with what people think. We will not actually go after things if we perceive being the key word, perceive that it will somehow threaten the way people see us or our relationships, or if it means upsetting anyone. When you really go after what you want and chase goals and stand in your leadership and become relentless, not everyone is going to understand. When those situations arise, a lot of people back down, they people please, and they cave in when they start to feel a little bit more misunderstood. So if I just give you a couple examples on this, one is that let's say you have a piece of content that goes even mini viral and people start to have thoughts about it and they might not understand how you came about it, or they leave some mean comments. Even if you've been wanting to go viral and you've been wanting to have a bigger audience and you've been wanting more eyes on your content, I see this all the time. Girls will crave. They think the holy grail solution is more eyes on their content, and then they get it and something like this will happen. And as soon as you get a mean comment, or you get a couple mean comments, or you get a couple comments where you're just having strangers interpret you based on one piece of information, they'll back down, they'll people please, they'll shrink. They'll make sure that they don't have pieces of content like that again, even though they wanted those results and even though the ability to get through that and do more content like that is probably the way forward. And I'm not even saying like you're doing like, what's the word? This is not the right word. Like provocative content or you know what word I'm talking about? It starts with a P. I can't think of it. But you don't do any like, oh, polarizing. It might not even be polarizing content, right? But that's one example. Another example that I'll see is that, and I've actually experienced this, is that you want to grow or scale your business. And sometimes that takes making decisions that are for the good of your clients, for the good of your business, for the good of yourself, for the good of your family and your growth and your income and all these things. And you might have a client have a thought or two about it, or they're not understanding why this is actually better for them. And they'll have thoughts, and then you'll change the plan entirely. You'll back down. You'll say, never mind, you won't scale because someone got mad at you or someone had a thought. A third example that I'll see, and I guess I'm just giving business results here, but a third example that I'll see is that people sometimes have to step into greater levels of leadership. I was just talking to a one-to-one about this, to be able to lead their team and scale. And when that means being more direct, or that means coming in with more confidence, they get scared and they want to people please their team, people please the clients, or even people please the people in their life when it might mean making more demands of, you might have to work a little bit longer, or you're starting to show up in a different way. You're starting to change the dynamics in your household because now you're becoming the breadwinner. Like, there's all sorts of things where we subconsciously end up self-sabotaging because it's more important for us to be liked than it is to get the results that we said we wanted. And your actions are going to show this more than anything. Very often, the actual fear underlying this is that we fear that rejection, being criticized, or that we're going to be less liked and chosen. And I'll just give, honestly, like, lighter examples as well. One thing that drives me freaking nuts, and I used to do this, like, so I'm not saying this from some judgmental perspective. I'm saying it from the perspective of someone who has actually done it for years, where I wouldn't eat as much at dinner with other women because I didn't want other people thinking that I ate a lot, or I'd wait to order a drink based on what other people were drinking rather than what I really wanted. And I don't like I could not tell you why, but no, I could actually tell you why. I have a really big appetite. Like, and I promise you, anytime anyone sees me actually eat, they're like, "You put it down." Like, you really do. And I do. I do really put down food. And I used to think that if I ate a lot around other girls like that, they would judge me. Or even on the drinks thing, I just wanted to make sure I'm, like, on the same wavelength that they were. That's what I was doing it, right? Or people will not really say what they want online and in their businesses if you think people are gonna be less likely to hire you. Or you might not. I just talked to a client about this the other day. She's wanting to do multiple income streams, and she's starting to, and one of those income streams she wants is TikTok, and so she has the thoughts of, "What if people in my life see these and have thoughts about it and judge me?" And that's held her back from actually going after what she wants. And external validation, let me talk about that too. External validation is a really big play in this as well. If you rely on external validation, this is exactly what I'm talking about. And I talked about this on my Instagram broadcast channel the other day, where, and like, you're not going to like this, but relying on the validation of others and really feeling like you need that to move forward, or you need that to feel certain in what you're doing, that's really you wanting to be liked and approved of and chosen. What that actually is you leaving your life and your results and the path that you live up to other people. You are deciding what you do and don't do, and what you do and don't have in life based on what other people think. So your life, in some ways, it's simplified a bit, but your life ends up being kind of up to the people around you. And are you even basing it on people who matter? Are you even basing it on people you like? Right? Are you basing it on strangers on the internet? Are you basing your life on whether someone from high school is going to judge you? Are you basing it on so and so person in your life who, honestly, they're kind of mean to you and you don't always like being around them anyway? How does that feel? It probably feels bad. So it's like, drop it. Validate yourself. You have to want your success, and you have to want to be who you are and be confident in that more than you need to rely on other people. A perfect example that I think of with this is actually my parents. My parents are incredibly healthy people, and not everyone understands their diet, which is very high fat, very high protein, and they're extreme with a lot of things that they do, and they're insanely healthy for it. It actually works for them really, really well. And I was talking to my dad about this, and he was telling me that people love when they go off of their diet. And when I say diet, I'm just saying really their lifestyle, their way of eating. And my dad told me the other day, he was like, "Everyone has comments for me when I just eat a steak out at dinner. But no one ever said a word to me when I was eating French fries, cheesecake, and multiple beers in one sitting." And I think that is so crazy, and it's so, so true. No one says shit to me when I skip a workout. They're like, "You deserve a rest day." No problem. But people do have thoughts if I work out twice in a day, and they will let me know. And if you are shaping what you do or don't do based on people making comments like that, you won't get where you want to go. You cannot be relentless while fearing others will disapprove of you or dislike you or have thoughts about you or judge you. So, for example, my parents, they want to be healthy for their grandkids, for their retirement, for themselves, more than they want to be understood and approved of. And I have so much mad respect for that. Whether it's my parents, whether it's someone else, it doesn't matter. Like, when you can stand in your own values and within integrity with what you actually want, even if others are going to disapprove or have comments or judge you, that's amazing. And you should be so proud of yourself for any instance in which you're doing it. And you will be infinitely more successful for sticking to your integrity and desires rather than being flimsy for approval. If this is something that you struggle with, if you are caught up in external validation and subconsciously find that sometimes you want to be more liked or play small because you want the approval of others, you need to be in my new offer. I am so dead serious. It will change this within the first 2 weeks. The fifth thing that I find people do, that self-sabotage, is it's kind of a form of ego. We become more concerned with telling people about ourselves and telling people who we are and telling people what we do rather than just showing people and letting our results speak for ourselves. And so some people end up more concerned with telling rather than showing. It's the gap between words and actions and words and results. I do not think in any way it is malicious. I don't think it's trying to perceive or fool or anything like that. I actually just think it's coming from a place of that ego, of insecurity, and of complacency. I'll give you the example, and I even said this a little bit at the beginning, of if you are constantly telling people of like, yeah, I'm a gym girl, I go to the gym all the time, I do this all the time, and I work really hard on my body, and it's not showing that, and you're just more concerned about telling people, and I've done this. It's actually probably just because you've grown complacent in your habits, you've grown complacent with pushing yourself. You're not actually tapped into pushing yourself. You're just used to, or you used to, and now you talk about it, and it feels better to just say that you are rather than actually living up to it. And that's just a little bit of complacency. Complacency happens all the time. It's not that big of a deal. It's just tapping back in and turning back on. Another example is people will say all the time, especially as a confidence coach, I people talk to me about their confidence constantly, but people will be like, yeah, I'm confident, and they will claim it. They'll vote on my polls about it. They'll do all these things in my DMs. They'll say they're confident, and then they get behind the scenes and they say something different, or they exhibit behaviors that say otherwise, where they're second guessing. They won't show up even though they really want to. They're backing down. They have shame-fueled self-talk. They're people-pleasing. That's usually because we want to project a certain version of ourselves, and not that it's necessarily even untrue, but we just want to project a part because we want to hide our insecurity. And I even noticed early this year, I went through a very tough time with my mental health. And even being a confidence coach, I found I was talking about my confidence a lot, but I wasn't even doing what I needed to do to walk the walk behind the scenes. And I had to check that. Like, I really had to check that because I realized that it like, you will actually kind of know when you are putting on a facade and feeling like you're presenting something or talking about something, but not doing it behind the scenes. When you start to feel some of that imposter syndrome, when you start to feel some shame, when you start to feel that you're afraid to be found out, when you start to feel a discrepancy between how you're describing yourself and what's actually going on behind the scenes, even if it's as simple as someone asking how you are and you pretend that you're doing really well and everything's going really well, but you're actually really not okay. You'll even feel it in little things like that. It's okay. It's not a big deal, but it's like the sooner we check it, the more we can stay on top of ourselves and actually get the results we want. Another thing I've seen is that people online talking about all the freedom. This is just social media. It's just the highlight reel. And it often paints a picture that is not always true. But people talking about the freedom they have, the money they make using, $1 million and rich and wealthy in their marketing when they're actually in complete scarcity behind the scenes. Or I just saw a TikTok the other day where it was saying these influencers that you think are so rich and live in these mansions aren't. They're renting houses for an hour on Peerspace, recording all their content, making it look like they live there when they probably live at home in their mom's basement or something. I don't know. It wasn't the whole reel. But just things like that, where we are presenting something different than what's going on, usually from a place of that ego or insecurity. And you might think I'm mean or the bad guys for saying it, but even with the marketing piece, there are so many people who use these certain words, $1 million, rich, wealthy, like I said, but then they're in my DMs saying something different. And people will say something online and then come and tell me something else, and their Instagram says another. I remember one time, this was a while ago, and I don't even remember who it was, but someone made an inquiry to me and said in her inquiry of how she's hit $10,000 a month one time and she barely hit it and has been, I think, like 70% lower than that every other month. And she's tried so hard to recreate it despite all her efforts, she hasn't been able to. And I went to her Instagram and she was saying that I'll teach you how to make 10K months, consistent 10K months, consistent 10K months, freedom, money mindset. And she didn't end up signing with me, and we were gonna clean it up if she did. But I don't even think that's always coming from a malicious place, and this isn't coming from me judging those people. I think a lot of that comes from people wanting to be chosen, feeling like they have to present a certain thing in order to be worthy of being chosen, or thinking that we're not good enough unless we tell this. Her energy probably should have been spent towards actually building the 10K months than presenting it, right? But it's really about, where are we more focused on telling people, on putting on a facade, on masking what's really going on with us? Again, just think about the simplistic and example of your your friend who you don't talk to all that often is asking how you're doing, and you're like, "Yeah, things are going really good, like, the business is going good, and yeah, I'm really happy." And it's not like you're lying, it's just you don't feel comfortable sharing the truth, and so you're presenting something different, but then that only hurts you. And that's why I want you to cop it, is because when you're more focused on presenting this facade, or trying to really protect yourself from vulnerability, or protecting yourself because you feel insecure and want to maintain a certain self-image, you're actually causing a discrepancy and an incongruence within yourself, and it's harder to solve it from that place. So I want you, if this is going on, unshame it. There is no reason to have shame for any of this, and there's no reason to have shame for where you are or what's going on with you. So unshame it, and then your job is to put your energy towards being more focused on doing the work than what people will think, or how it will appear, or what will happen if you let the guard down and stop the self-protection. I have to do this all the time with myself too. I want you to know that. Sometimes I'll give like this just absolute fantastic A+ coaching, and then I'll have to be like, "Bitch, go do that too. Like, don't give that advice. You're not even doing that. Go check it." And then here's where people go wrong. They'll have thoughts like that, and then they'll feel imposter syndrome and think that they shouldn't be doing this, and they make it this big problem, whereas it's like, just go do it. That's what I do. I just go do it right then and there. Problem solved. And I think a lot about the question of, if I had cameras following me all day long, what the hell would my clients think? What would the people in my life think? What would my like, I'll think about this a lot too. And I have an email coming out this week, and it's talking about how a lot of people in my life are really, really nice to me, and I love that, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But I think one reason why my boyfriend actually has stood out to me as an individual, and why he's probably my partner, is because he has a lot of admiration for me, like other people do as well. But he also is really honest and gives me a lot of tough love and holds me to an incredibly high standard. And so with that, I think about the question of, like, if there were cameras following me around all day, and he saw how I was acting, or he saw where I was scrolling, or he saw where I wasn't being productive, or he saw this behavior that I said I wanted to overcome, what would they think? What would he think? And so it's like, would my clients be like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, that's my coach. What a beast and what a machine, and that's inspiring. That's what I wanna be." Or would, for example, with my boyfriend, he'd be like, "You said you didn't wanna do that," or "That's not who you said you are today," right? It's just thinking about that and unshaming it, not making it a problem, which is what most people do, and then just adjusting. And this as well is what we're working on my new offer, where it's like, we don't have to make all of this a problem. We don't have to make everything mean everything. We don't have to have so much shame around it. We can actually just adjust and take action so quickly. And you would be shocked how fast results come when you can move like that. The sixth thing that I want to wrap this up with is what I call the try mentality. And whenever I say try mentality, just know I'm back here doing quote. And whenever I say try mentality, just know that I'm literally back here recording, doing air quotes every single time. So the try mentality. When people say they'll try something, I'll try to hit that goal. I'll try to improve on that. I'll try to be better. It means quitting and failure is still an option for you. You still are allowing both of those things to be an option on the table. So many people keep failure and quitting as an option with their diet, with a healthy relationship and communication, with reducing screen time, with daily habits, with discipline, with their goals, with their sleep schedule, with meditating, with emotional regulation, with keeping their word to themselves. I could go on. What I am not saying is that you need to be perfect. What I am not saying is that you have to ace everything. But I would ask of even of that list that I just went through, actually use this as an exercise. You guys know that I like to have little exercises through this. Which one of those are actually a value to you, a priority to you? Which means a lot to you? Which are you going to need to work on to get the results that you have been craving for months? You say you want to change your life, right? And I know you do. I know that the people in my world, they want it all. They want to be really healthy and in their fittest body. They want a very healthy, rich relationship. They want a very thriving, experiential life, social life, traveling, all those things. They want financial overflow. They don't want to have to worry about money. They want to be pushing themselves and really just like mentally fit. They want all these things. So if you're saying you want these things, choose even one or two things that are so important to you right now. You're like, this would change everything for me. I would be so proud if I did this. What are those things? And then are you just trying on the things that would actually move the needle? Or are you committing? In my new offer, you're going to master commitment and all the skills that goes into that. And I'm teaching the neuroscience, the strategies, the skill sets, the shifts that are needed to become someone who commits and makes things happen. They don't just try and fail and quit and pull back. I really want you to sit with this. And my boyfriend and I had a cool conversation the other day. So when we worked out together, and we don't always work out together, but I think it was a weekend. And when he was lifting, I gave him some feedback and he bit at me a little bit. Like he was kind of like short with his answer. And I talked to him after and I was like, hey, I totally respect you were in the mode right then, but can you deliver a little bit more like a teammate next time? It felt like it was like against me. And he was like, yeah, I'll try. And I stopped him and I was like, you'll try or you will. And he clearly in that moment, like, kind of wanted to resist it and, was like, "Well, I can't promise, but I'm definitely gonna try." And I was like, "Hey, I'm not looking for a promise by any means, but I just want you to commit to this is something that you're gonna prioritize." And failure is totally fine. Trying is less so. And he was like, yeah, you're right. I'm committing to it. I'm gonna be on top of it." And that was awesome. That was a really cool conversation that we got to have around it. And that just kind of exemplifies the try mentality of trying is usually also an indicator of we really want this, but we're not quite willing to prioritize it. Sit with that. Sit with that. And there's so much available and so much more in your tank than you realize when you actually just sit and figure out how do I commit to success rather than just try to succeed. Wild what will happen and come up for you. And a light example of this is the 5K that I said I was gonna do, and I talked about this the other week, where I was saying for a while, I'm gonna try to run a 5K. I'm gonna try. Finally, I whittled that down to I'm gonna commit to run a 5K in the next week. I'm not gonna take this multiple weeks to try and run it or try and train. I'm just gonna actually run it this week. It's a non-negotiable. I'm gonna just do this. The first day that I went to go run it, and I'm not a runner, you guys. Oh my God, I don't run. I looked at myself and I was like, Makenzie, you're gonna do this. There is not an option to try, and there's not an option to not run a 5K today. It's okay if it takes you an hour. You're gonna do it though. You're not gonna try, you're gonna do it. And I did it. Literally I went from having this try mentality of I'm gonna take 6 weeks to train for my first 5K. And then I went to, nope, you're just gonna do it in a week. And then day one got it done, was complete. Bigger example is leaving my corporate job. I didn't want to try to get out of corporate. I didn't want to try to be an entrepreneur. Most people are trying to do that. I made it internally, so there was no option available but to do it and to do it that year. I didn't give myself even the option of it taking years. It was go time. That was it. And if you're like, how the hell do you choose something like that? How do you commit like that? And how do you make that a non-negotiable? And how do you make it so there's no option? Then join my offer. I'm so serious. We're going to solve all of this. I'll say too, you'll hear this probably on future episodes. When you join this offer before September 27th, that's the lowest price it's ever going to be before it jumps up. And it's going to probably jump up a bit. So if all of this is speaking to you and you're like, okay, yeah, I should work on this now before the price jumps up, come message me if you're listening to this the week of. If not, just obviously check show notes. And so many people are like, how did you do $200,000 your first year? When many people struggle to make 10K, 25K, 50K, 100K in their first year, or even couple first years. And it's because people will leave failure, quitting, and extended timelines as an option on the table. They'll try to succeed. I did not. I was going to. I am so curious, and I want you to ask yourself, what would happen for you if it was kind of this like do or die mentality, like an all-in mentality where success was the only option? Because I promise you, you got it in you, my girl. You do. I have taken some of the most defeated people, defeated clients. I actually have been the most defeated client I've ever worked with myself. And I have seen them go on to do insane things that weren't even on their radar or in their realm of possibility when they figure out how to master self-commitment. And if you're questioning that and you're like, yeah, but it can't be me, and you have all this doubt and it's never been me and I'm not consistent and all blah, 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 just join the offer. Low ticket offer for now, big results. And when you're first in, you get insane bonuses. So those are the 6 ways that we so subtly and subconsciously self-sabotage and get in our own way. And I want you to stop getting in your own way because you have no idea how good it can get when you stop that. It can get so good. And it's even okay if you still pick these things up from time to time. If you didn't catch it in this episode, there's still ways that I pick these behaviors back up from time to time. But it's not about whether you have it or you don't. It's not binary, yes or no, black or white. It's just like when you learn how to start being more relentless and less self-sabotage and less of a quitter and less getting your own way and less freaking out and letting fears and emotions drive you, you're going to find that even doing it super imperfectly, you have so much more success. You build so much more confidence, and you're going to see how good it gets. Check the show notes for details. If you would love to join my new offer, I know I don't have a lot of details out yet. I'm dying to give them to you. They're coming very soon. Just message me on Instagram. And this offer is also inside of Unlimited. So if you're wanting to go all the way in, level up in all areas of your life, and really just have complete self-mastery over your goals, your habits, your discipline, your confidence, of course, your audacious action, your body, your business, your money, your relationship, everything. And you're like, yeah, I want to do this and I want to go all the way in and everything and just become completely mentally, physically, emotionally, experientially, financially richer. That is Unlimited. And so if this new offer in this episode is speaking to you and you also want to get coached with me for a year and really go big, then you'll also get it inside of Unlimited. Okay, I will catch you guys soon. And thank you for listening. I'll catch you in the next episode.